Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Kipo and the Age of Wonderbeasts, Season 2, Episode 5. So, we're getting to the point where Kipo is starting to lose control. The Jaguar inside of her is kind of taking over, and she has to find her anchor quick. With this episode, we get halfway to in the season, and I'm just wondering, what's that going to mean? How is that going to translate to her goal here? Because we could get to the other borough quickly, but it could also still take until near the end. Now, also to note, in prior reactions, I said that this was 8 episodes. I was getting it confused with other shows, and I guess more notably with The Boys, which I'm currently reacting to as well, because that's 8 episodes. But yeah, this one is 10. So there's 2 other extra episodes than I thought. And that gives a little bit of time to continue to build on and expand this, but I don't know. I'm just still worried that this season is still going to take forever to actually get to, the point. And I want to make clear, when I'm hating on this or anything for it being too repetitive and too much like the first season and everything, too much like not focusing on the plot and all, it's not because I don't like it. In fact, it's literally the opposite. I really love this show, and that's why I don't want it to be doing stuff like this. The fact that it's very much repeating season 1 by having Kipo separated from her father and being the main goal to reunite, it's annoying. It hurts the overall quality. And for a series that I do love this much, I want it to not do stuff like that. And seeing just it continue to drag on and on is a little annoying, honestly. Because I feel like by this point, this should have been handled. Now, you could still have Scarlemagne as the main villain and still have him enacting his plan, but the stuff with her father, she should have saved him by this point. Like, he should... I believe I even said last time, it's like, an easy way to have this fixed is if she had saved him by this point, and he had gone to stay with the Timbercats along with the others, while they continued to fight against Scarlemagne. And that way you could still even have the episodic nature of this, while still having the fight against Scarlemagne and everything going on with that. But Leo would be safe, and he would be just... it wouldn't be repeating the same plot point with Kipo and him as in season 1. It would literally fix all of the big issues with this, because everything else would still work if that one thing were taken care of. But because that one thing is happening, it makes everything else feel really, like, draggy. Like, everything else is just dragging and just really, like, you just want it to end. You want it to end. And not in a good way. So I just feel like that is the one big mistake that the crew made with season 2. And I really wish they hadn't made that, because it does sap away a lot of my excitement for this. But nonetheless, I am still enjoying it. There's still a lot to love, and there's still a lot of great mysteries and moments to get invested in. Like I said, I still love this series, without question. Just because I'm complaining about this one aspect of season 2 doesn't mean I dislike the series now. It's just like with RWBY. just because I absolutely hated what they did with Penny at the end of Volume 8, like legitimately despised what they did with her and how it ruined her character, I still like Ruby. I still like the show. I I love the show very very much. It's just I'm going to call out issues when I see them. If something bothers me, if I don't like something, I'm going to say it, even if it's for a show I love. My favorite series of all time, One Piece, it does have some pacing issues every now and again. It's not perfect. There are some arcs that are just way too long, like Dressrosa. Wano is managing to make it work with having its act structure, but it's like, even then, some things in Wano do seem a little dragged out too. And I'm saying that about my favorite show of all time. Another one of my favorite shows, Legend of Korra, has some issues every now and again. Season 2. Well, the first half of season 2. Let's be fair. Not all of season 2 was weak. Only the first half of season 2 was weak, and even then, the first half of season 2 still has some great stuff in it. It's just like, I acknowledge though that it made some mistakes. Every show does. Every movie, every game, every comic. Nothing is perfect. Just because we love something doesn't mean it doesn't have issues. We have to acknowledge that, and Kipo is definitely one of those things. It does have an issue here. It's not perfect. It had some issues in season 1 I even brought up. But overall, I still love it. It's still great. I'm still excited to have seen it and to be continuing to see it. Um, but yeah, I always want to acknowledge that. I always want to acknowledge the issues because I feel like it's almost disrespecting the piece of media if you don't. If you just ignore something's issues and pretend they don't exist, you're ignoring a part of what makes that piece of media itself. You're treating it as, you're like putting it on this pedestal rather than acknowledging it for what it is. And I think that's kind of disrespectful. I feel it's more respectful to acknowledge something for what it is than to just put it on this pedestal of perfection that doesn't actually exist. That's my view on it, at least. Um, but yeah, I'm still enjoying it. I think there's still a shit ton of awesome creativity. I love just the humor of it. The characters are great, so there's still a lot to love. And I'm really excited to eventually see like what this mysterious hooded group is. They seem to be against Scarlemagne and they want to rescue the humans, so that's good. They seem to be on our side, some kind of rebel group. But we don't know if they are humans or not. We don't know if this group is human. We don't know if they're mutes. We don't know anything. We just see a bunch of cloaked figures wearing plague doctor masks, basically. And it's like, you just got to kind of wonder, why are they being kept so secret? What's the goal here? What's the goal with the reveal? How is it going to shape things? That's the question I'm wondering with that. And there's still my theory on the Mega Monkey, who Scarlemagne now knows is free and is after again. There's still my theory regarding her because of all the information we've been given. And especially with what Leo said about you could turn into a Mega Mute and completely lose control and not be able to turn back. And it's just like all this information combining, it still makes me think that maybe the Mega Monkey is Kipo's mother. As much as a really wild theory it is, as kind of a bit of a stretch that it is, I feel like there is some evidence to back it up. I feel like there is something there. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out, maybe we won't. Maybe I'm way off the mark. But in the end, it's like the fact that this series has me so excited to find out stuff like this and to even theorize stuff like this is cool. And I love that. I love it when shows can make me this invested that I start theory crafting like this. Um, excuse me. But we should probably just get on with this and see what episode 5 has in store. So, let's do so. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I just noticed something. As I've talked about before, I make the thumbnails usually in between recording the reaction and the afterthoughts. So I was making the thumbnail and saving it. And when I was saving it, I saw the other thumbnails I've made for season 2 of Kipo so far. And so far, every single one of them has been exclusively focused on Kipo herself. 3 of them have been focused on Kipo's transformation, and all 4 of them, prior to this episode's one, have had purple lighting. And that wasn't intentional. I was just choosing something that I thought each time was extremely relevant and important to the episode. With episode 1 of this season, I had Kipo fighting back against the monkeys while her father was still caged behind her. In episode 2, I had her looking at the fur when she was learning to, herbs in, herbs out, use that in order to control it. Episode 3, I had it when she went out of control against the one monkey on the back of the pink flamingo. And in episode 4, her singing with Wolf. Singing while trying to get Wolf to sing in Wolf's old place. So this one, this was completely unintentional. I did not mean to have them all like so similar. But now in this one, episode 5, I just chose to have it be Kipo's parents instead, because I felt like, well, it was very important to the episode. It was focused very heavily on giving us some big lore for Kipo's parents. So I chose to have them as the thumbnail. And I just think it's funny that the first 4 episode reaction thumbnails are all so very similar. And then this one changes it. And I think that's funny because that's how the episodes went. Again, this was completely unintentional, so it's kind of blowing my mind how fitting it is. But the first 4 episodes of this season have been very much repetitive, as I've been saying. It's been kind of just repeating the kind of stuff we've seen in season 1. And again, none of it's been bad. None of it's been bad at all. But it's been stuff that didn't feel as fresh and new as I wanted. And then we get to this episode 5, and they finally get to the burrow. And this, you could say, because of the season being 10 episodes, is the kind of mid-season finale, and it's a 2-parter, which, that cliffhanger, it's like, oh my god, I want to know so much more, and I wish I had episode 6 downloaded, because I would have just gotten to it. I would have reacted to it right here and now. But now I have to wait a week, and it's like, because it's like, I want to get to it so bad. But we're going to wait. We're going to wait. Even if I download it now, it's just, I could react to it, but we're going to wait. I can live with that. As I've said in the past, I actually like cliffhangers, and they'll hopefully, if the payoff is good, it makes it even better. So, the fact that this episode changed kind of the entire trajectory of this season, while still keeping kind of almost that episodic nature to it. I feel like this is a big deal. It's huge. It's giving us this big information, while at the same time developing things heavily, for this series. We even get to see a lot more of the masked figures, this rebel group or whatever they are. So let's talk about what happened. So there's kind of a couple different plots going on in this episode. There's three main parts to it. There's Kipo and them discovering the burrow. There's the flashback to Leo and Song, just doing their science and getting ready to have a baby and all. And then there is the rebels. That's what I'm just going to call them for now. The rebels trying to stop Scarlemagne, who is currently in Cactus Town. So I'm going to talk about Scarlemagne's part first, because it was clearly the B plot. Let's be honest. The other stuff was definitely the A plot, so we'll get to that last. So let's talk about the B plot. Scarlemagne is still searching for the Mega Monkey, and some of his minions, some of the other mutes, come by to give him the news that they found her. Of course, he wants it done in song, and because he gets the news and the information, he even gives them the option of choosing which house in his planned city of gold that they want, and they choose the poolside, the poolside house, the one that has the poolside view. And it's like, good choice. He says good choice, and I'm like, I actually kind of agree with him there. That sounds like a very nice choice. Oh, that would be very, very nice. Poolside view sounds great. But we then see he and his minions head out to recapture the Mega Monkey. They make their way to Cactus Town because the Mega Monkey lives right off of there. And that's when the Umlaut Snakes decide to fight against Scarlemagne. They use some speakers to send out like a really, really strong, really loud rock song, which, due to the mutes' enhanced hearing, let's put it that way, it messes with them. It causes them to crash. It causes them to just be discomforted. And the Umlaut Snakes, of course, they can handle it. They are evolved to be able to handle it. And it doesn't affect humans at all. Humans are fine. It's loud, but they're fine. So Scarlemagne is kind of crippled by it, but he does have some human servants with him, so he has them take out the speakers, and a big ol' fight ensues. Meanwhile, the rebels are trying to get the Mega Monkey's collar before anyone notices. And yeah, the B plot was very much a B plot. It felt like a B plot. It didn't feel as big. It's just like, okay, Scarlemagne's messing with another group of mutes that we like. The biggest part of it was getting to see these rebels kind of in action. We get to get their personalities down. Like Greta kind of seems like a goofy, dorky musclehead, and seems like really silly and kind of ridiculous. Didn't really get a huge vibe for the other person, but the leader seems to be very much kind of sick of their shit in a way. Seems to be kind of like the very serious straight man type character who's just trying to get things done. So that's interesting. I'm interested to see where they go with that, and with these characters in general. So I guess we'll see in part 2 of this two-parter how this all goes down. But let's get to the A plot. So on their way to the burrow, they get some help from Mulholland, who I really did not expect to see return. The Mulholland episode was a weird fucking episode, and it wasn't bad or anything. It was just weird for a lot of reasons. So I just, once Mulholland kind of just fucked off, I did not expect to see them return. But here they are. Just, they're back. and they actually do give some help, even if they try to like leave a little like, yeah, I could get back in your head. I'm not going to absorb anyone, but I could get back in your head, give you some nice dreams. Um, which most of them flat out refuse. Dave is kind of into it, and Mondu is definitely into it, but yeah. But he helps them out, leads them towards where the burrow is, and yeah, they find it. While there, they realize that the burrow seems to be very science based, which, as is pointed out, makes a lot of sense. Um, we see that Kipo and her parents are all very science forward people. And so it makes sense that the idea that they could possibly originally come from a burrow of scientists. We see that as the case, and it's seen as well that the burrow has these rooms that all have name labels. They eventually find the burrow labeled Oak, and I don't know why I had a brain fart watching this and forgot Kipo's last name. It's like we've known her last name. It's just, I don't know why why I had a brain fart there. And thought we hadn't learned it because I'm like watching. I'm like, oh, are we gonna finally learn Kipo's last name? And it's like not too long after I'm thinking like, wait, I'm dumb. I'm fucking dumb. It's like that's kind of how my thought process was. And it's like, oh my god, how did I do that? How was I that stupid in that moment? I, I don't know. But they make their way to the Oak Room, and while in there, they find little bits and pieces of information. They find a onesie that once belonged to Kipo, and they find Song's journal. And we get to have some flashback stuff, seeing how Song and Leo interacted, seeing their plans for everything, and kind of possibly proving my theory right. In fact, I think this episode in general was kind of leading to that. Because here's the thing. Not only just from what we saw in the flashbacks and the information we got there, but this is intersecting. Them in the burrow and finding out more about Song and Leo, this is intersecting with the B plot of Scarlemagne trying to recapture the Mega Monkey. Both of these plots are intersecting in the same episode, or well, episodes because it's a two-parter. Even if I haven't seen the next one yet, it's very clear that they're going to still both be in that. They're both intersecting, and in this episode, we have Song straight up say that fur grew on her arm, and when she was looking under the experiments in the glass, the telescope, microscope, that's the word. When she was looking in them under the microscope, one of them was a monkey. And we know what happened with the jaguar. We know that's Kipo. And the others were, I guess, like other tests. So the monkey would have to be her, right? Because the other ones, it's like there's really no evidence of either of those two at all. I mean, the only other option is the monkey is relating to Scarlemagne, but that wouldn't really make sense within the context. Now, also speaking of Scarlemagne, in this episode at the beginning, in the beginning flashback, Leo referenced Hugo and referenced that he was learning to speak and all. And we know that Leo has called Scarlemagne Hugo before. That and that again, as I said in the video, that Scarlemagne has said that Leo is the one who turned him crazy and everything. Now, in this, we can see that these two are clearly by where the Mega Dogs are, which means that would be more close to the Clover Burrow. Or not the Clover Burrow, the backup Burrow. Because of that, we have to assume, and the fact that Kipo's not with them or anything, we have to assume this is before Kipo's birth. obviously, and that maybe they were scouting for like the for another burrow or for like a backup or making the backup burrow at that time, because that's where that was. But they wouldn't live there at the moment. They would be living either in their original burrow, the science burrow, or the clover burrow, around that time. And I'm thinking probably the science burrow. Um, I'm just guessing there, but because I've already guessed like maybe something with Scarlemagne had to do with why they couldn't go back to the science burrow, and but that's when that kind of thing was brought up when Leo was just with Kipo, and when they saw the goats and all. So I'm just not sure. There's a lot that's starting to connect, but is only starting to. There's still a lot of things I'm still questioning, and I'm excited to find out. Like, I will not lie. With the first four episodes, I was kind of feeling a little bit of burnout on this series, and that's not good. I was still loving it. Like I said in the pre-thoughts, I still loved the show and wanted to see what happened, but because it was so repetitive towards the first season, because it was so much of the same things, I just wasn't as excited as I could have been. But this episode rejuvenated all of that excitement. This episode, the first part of this mid-season finale, you could call it, just instantly brought everything into overdrive for my excitement and my hype for this series again. And it's like just all of the big stuff, the possibility of my biggest theory in this series for sure being confirmed, the possibility of other big stuff, even the return of Mulholland, as unexpected as it was and as minor as it was, all things considered, was still like, okay, I can dig it, I guess. But the thing is, this is a two-part, and we got a living mold that seems very childlike in personality from the little bit we saw, and has kidnapped Dave and Mondu, and is now going after the others. So, interspersed with all of this big information, with all of these revelations, all of these amazing moments, we still have a kind of enemy of the week to deal with. A situation that's just happening around them that they have to confront. Um, and I don't think that the mold is going to be a big problem. I don't think the mold is going to really be something to worry about. It's just kind of like something to give them concern at the moment. Hell, the mold might even be explained in another flashback. We might find out like why that's there and everything. But the point is that I don't think that's what these episodes are in any way trying to focus on. These episodes are about this flashback, are about these revelations and this information we're getting. These episodes are about just really kicking this series into overdrive and giving us the catalyst that'll bring us into not only Kipo getting her anchor, but it'll bring us into the next stage of this series. I feel like this next episode is going to be big. I feel like it's going to be one hell of an episode, and the revelations are just going to get even bigger. And I'm excited for that. But tell me, meanwhile, down in the comments, what did you think of this episode of Kipo and the Age of the Wonderbeasts? And as always, no spoilers. I very much do not want spoilers going forward with this, especially with all of these revelations. I want to find out, for example, if my theory is right, because this episode didn't entirely confirm it or anything. I could still be wrong, even though it seems to very much confirm it. All the information is kind of leading me in that direction, at least. but it could still be deconfirmed. That's a possibility, and I hope it's not, though. I really want to be right about this one. But either way, tell me your thoughts down below with no spoilers, and thank you all so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.